What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel. Now, the new chapter of Boruto Two Blue Vortex just dropped, chapter 26. And honestly, this might be one of my favorite chapters just because it has been so long since we've had more of a dialogue focused chapter within the narrative. A lot of Boruto lately has just been action a lot of the time. And I love action. Action's some of my favorite things in Boruto. But I love it when we get chapters like this where we're pretty much just talking and we're pretty much setting the stage for what's to come next. So that's pretty much why I love this chapter, first and foremost. But in this video, I'm going to talk about mostly just three major things that happened in this chapter. There's a lot that went down in this chapter. There's a lot of little things that went down, like stuff with Jura, but I primarily want to focus on these three things because these three elements have the most potential story ramifications within the narrative that I really want to delve into. So, first and foremost, who would have thought Inojin was going to become one of the most important characters in all of Two Blue Vortex? I sure as hell didn't. But not only did we find out that he kind of has a little crush on Himawari, I kind of already knew that though. They kind of were like layering that and setting that up since like the very beginning of of Two Blue Vortex, so it didn't really shock me. But I see why they're doing it now because Boruto and Kashin Koji essentially use that crush on Himawari as leverage to get Inojin to do what they want him to do, and essentially like use Inojin as a way to communicate with Shikamaru. That is one of the most interesting things that I've seen the series do. I never thought we would see Boruto stoop to the point of manipulating his friends, right? We all thought that was going to be a Kashin Koji type thing, but Boruto is now taking part of it as well. He knows that Inojin has a crush on his sister, so he's using that as leverage to essentially help Kashin Koji move things in the right direction. But what I also liked about this, though, is that, like I said all those chapters ago, the relationship or the partnership between Boruto and Kashin Koji is starting to splinter. Right? It's getting more and more fractured as the story goes on. So I think we're in for a point where Boruto and Kashin Koji are going to split off at some point, and Boruto might be working on his own because when Boruto and Kashin Koji were talking, you could literally see that their relationship is more fractured than it's ever been because Boruto, you can tell he does not trust Koji. No matter how much he might pretend to, he does not trust him at all. But moving on from that, I also like that the talk that Boruto had with Momoshiki is starting to matriculate into the narrative to some degree, right? We don't know if Momoshiki accepted the deal or not. We didn't get kind of confirmation, but I think though the way that Boruto was acting in this chapter, the way that he was sitting in the chair, the way that he was talking to Inojin and Koji, it didn't feel fully like Boruto, if that makes any sense. Part of me thinks that Boruto and Momoshiki might have agreed to like Boruto has. So this is pretty much what I'm thinking. This could be very wrong, but who knows? My way of thinking is Boruto and Momoshiki reached a deal where Boruto has like full control of the body, but Momoshiki is allowed to essentially influence Boruto's like mannerisms and his emotions and stuff like that. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. So that way Momoshiki has like more of a say within the body, if that makes any sense. Because Momoshiki, as we all know, he's been depressed for pretty much all of Two Blue Vortex. So this might be how Boruto gets Momoshiki more on his side in a way. He gives like Momoshiki just a little bit so that he doesn't have control over the body, but he's able to influence it in a way where he feels like he's in control of something to some degree. That's why we see Boruto sitting the way he does. That's why we see Boruto a little bit more snappy than we expected, and why he was so willing to essentially manipulate Inojin, it's because Momoshiki is affecting him to some degree. He doesn't have full control over the body, but he's affecting his rationale, he's affecting his mannerism, and he's affecting his emotions. That, I think, is a great way to incorporate Momoshiki into the narrative without having him take full control of the body. Have him influence little things like that. That's what I like. But moving away from that, another element of this chapter that I thought was very cool and and honestly really set up the narrative in a good way was that Shikamaru helping Boruto escape finally had consequences, and this just showed me that Shikamaru's fate is not long in this world, right? I don't think Shikamaru is making it out of Two Blue Vortex. It's getting to the point now where so many things are stacking up that Shikamaru was going to be there for this final war, but I don't think he's making it out or anything like that. So pretty much what we got was we got the Daimos attending essentially coming in, and they're now doing a full blown investigation as to how Boruto was able to escape. And as we all know, Shikamaru played a very big hand of helping him escape. So Shikamaru's like the clock's ticking on Shikamaru, man. Like as soon as they do that investigation for Shikamaru, like as soon as they call him in for interrogation, Shikamaru might be cooked in terms of like he helped like Boruto escape and all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle that within the narrative. Like, what do they do, like for Shikamaru? Do they keep Shikamaru on as the interim Hokage? Do they get rid of him and bring Kakashi or something like that? And does that in turn affect like Kashin Koji's prescience? Because we know that from what Kashin Koji said, we know that pretty much Shikamaru being the Hokage is best case scenario for when Mamushi comes. But what happens if that changes? What happens if Shikamaru is taken out of the picture and a new Hokage like Kakashi comes back? What happens then? How does that change things within prescience? That's one thing that I really want to see like delved into. I think that could be really cool. Seeing how his prescience continues to change because we know that it can change. We've seen it happen. So what happens if Shikamaru gets caught? He gets taken out of the picture, not killed or anything like that, but they just relieve him of his duties and they bring somebody like Kakashi in. I think that could be a really cool like way to see how things change within the narrative because we know that Mamushi is going to be a very big threat because he wants full control of he doesn't want to just consume Eida. He wants full control and all that. So I think that has the potential to be very, very interesting, especially if he's able to get Jura on his side and he helps Mamushi with the attack. That's going to be very interesting, man. I'm very much looking forward to that. But the final thing that I really want to delve into for this chapter is pretty much Sarda and Sumire and Eida's big talk. Now, when Eida just casually dropped that she could tell that they weren't being affected by her ability, I thought that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that because, like, for the longest time, we've established that three of them kind of have a friendship going on. Like, sure, they have to be wary of Eida, but for the most part, they've kind of had a friendship. So when Eida was pretty much like, "Hey, I know you're not affected by my ability because you're talking about loving Boruto so openly," I completely forgot about her ability. So when Damon jumped them and essentially like has them now by the throat, like that was such a cool turn of events, and the art looked so good. By the way, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what goes down there. How Sarda and Sumire are able to talk themselves out of that. Is there any way they can talk themselves out of that? Could Kawaki come and help them out? Because once again, we still haven't seen Kawaki. Who knows what's going to go down in the next chapter, man? The next chapter has the potential to be an all timer. Very much looking forward to that. But I think that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. How did you guys feel about this chapter? Did you love it as much as me, or do you guys not like it as much as I did? Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'm going to talk to you guys in the next chapter. Bye bye.